Come on in and have a seat, please. We'll get started in a minute. Thank you, Claire, for playing that welcoming music for us. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Jones. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm honored to welcome you to the Ethical Society of St. Louis this morning. We are an ethical humanist congregation, a community where people come together to explore big questions, live with intention, and work toward a more just and compassionate world. This fall, our programming explores our humanist belief that positive change comes from human efforts. Since September, our Sunday programs have invited us to look at how cooperation and creativity bring people together to shape something larger than themselves. This morning, we look at something that influences all of that, where we place our attention. In an age filled with noise, distraction, and competing demands, we'll explore how focusing deliberately on one another, on our values, on what truly matters, can become a transformative ethical act. Whether this is your first Sunday with us or you've been part of this community for years, I'm so glad you're here. Speaking of attention, please take a moment to silence your devices so we can stay fully present with one another. This morning, we are joined by classical guitarist Patrick Rafferty, an active performer and teacher whose work spans the Midwest. Patrick is a polished interpreter of the traditional guitar repertoire, and he moves just as easily through popular and world music styles. His musical interests include early guitar traditions with special emphasis on Baroque and 19th century guitars and the music originally written for them. Patrick currently serves on the guitar faculties of Southeast Missouri State University, St. Louis University, and the Webster Community Music School, where he is known for his thoughtful, engaging approach to both teaching and performance. Patrick is going to spare me pronouncing his pieces this morning and introduce them himself. I always look forward to hearing Patrick here. Please welcome Patrick Rafferty.
Thank you. It is always good to be here. I always look forward to being able to play in this room for a wonderful audience every time. So thank you for having me. Thank you for being here. The first two pieces that I'm playing are both by the Italian guitarist and composer Francesco Corbetta, who was active during kind of the middle part of the 17th century. These two pieces both come out of the time period around 1670, when he was the court guitarist for Louis XIV. And I'll be playing these pieces on a replica of a 17th century guitar.
Thank you, Patrick. I love hearing you play, and we're very lucky to have you come back time again. And I really especially appreciate the authenticity of the instruments that you bring every time. It's not something I get to hear very often. Each week we read our youth education core values as a way to bring us together and remind us of our shared commitments. This morning, our core value reader is Axel Jones. Please join me in welcoming Axel.
Every person is important and unique. Every person deserves to be treated fairly and kindly. I can learn from everyone. I am a part of this earth. I cherish it and all the life upon it. I can learn from the world around me by using my senses, mind, and feelings. I am a member of the world community, which depends on the cooperation of all people for peace and justice. I can learn from the past to build for the future. I am free to question. I am free to choose what I believe. I accept responsibility for my choices and actions. I strive to live my values.
Thanks, Axel. These values remind us that community members of all ages help make this place what it is. Our Winter Good Cheer celebration is coming up. And today our Sikh students are kicking things off with a youth-led intergenerational activity they've created for all of us. It's a reminder that small actions linked together can grow into something meaningful for our community. Now I'd like to invite our Sikh students to join me on the stage to lead us in an opening activity.
This fall, we've been learning that positive change comes from human effort, that we make the world better through kindness, fairness, and working together. I see we made paper changes to show how every small act of kindness, people near and far, each link shows something we can do to help others, like listening, sharing, or helping a friend. When we link them all together, they become stronger, just like we do when we work together. Our paper chains show how kindness connects our whole community.
While the music plays, please write one act of kindness or connection on your paper strip. Something you can do this season to spread warmth, hope, or good cheer.
The welcome team will come through the aisles with baskets to collect your papers. If you need a paper or pen, there are extras on the welcome table in the foyer. We'll take your papers downstairs and link them together into one big community chain, reminding us that every kind action adds to the light we share with the world and helps make positivity change possible. Thank you for helping us grow our chain of kindness.
Thank you for inviting us to make connections with you all. I can't wait to see the chains that we created together decorating our space. This morning, our youth programs are exploring experiences in leadership. While our Seek students in grades K through 5 are playing some leadership games, our teens in coming of age and youth group are preparing to lead intergenerational events and lessons with our Seek students and our Good Cheer celebration. Thank you all for joining us today. Have fun. We'll see you again after platform. I'd like to invite Patrick again to perform his next selection, which he will introduce for me, I hope. Or I guess he did already. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Patrick. That was a wonderful introduction into our next piece, our Mindfulness Minute. Before our main address, we like to take a moment for mindfulness. Sometimes our minds feel crowded with thoughts and worries. I invite you now to clear a little space. Let your shoulders relax. Soften your gaze or close your eyes, and bring your attention to your breath. Take special notice of the steady rhythm of your inhale and exhale. With each breath, let yourself feel a little more grounded, a little more present. We'll take one quiet minute together, and as you breathe, let your body release what it doesn't need and welcome in a sense of calm. Thank you. Our speaker this morning is Louise Jett, our creative director at the Ethical Society of St. Louis and an AEU certified ethical culture leader. Louise is an artist and storyteller whose work centers on building connection through creativity, ethics, and empathy. Beyond her leadership here at the Ethical Society, she also serves as the statewide branding manager for the state of Illinois, where she leads projects that strengthen belonging, communication, and purpose across diverse communities. In a world shaped by the attention economy, what we focus on, individually and collectively, has profound ethical consequences. Louise will explore how humanists can treat attention as a sacred resource and how turning scattered focus into deliberate care can help us tend more thoughtfully to ourselves, to others, and to the world we share. Louise couldn't make it in person today, but you can join me in welcoming Louise to our screen.
Good morning. Thank you for joining me. I'm dog sitting at my sister's and I'm still snowed in. I'm really happy I can join virtually, but I do regret that I can't be there in person. I really want to see that paper chain that you all are making. The ancient Greeks told a story about a person named Odysseus sailing home past an island of sirens. The sirens had one job: to sing such beautiful, irresistible songs of promised secret knowledge that sailors forgot everything else: their ships, their homes, their own survival. And the sailors crashed on the rocks. Odysseus doesn't defeat the sirens with superhuman power or superhuman willpower. He doesn't say, "I got this, I'm good, I'll just ignore them." He does something much wiser. He admits that his attention is vulnerable. He asks his crew to fill their ears with wax, tie him to the mast, and this is important, not to untie him no matter how much he begs until the danger has passed. He doesn't trust his impulses. He designs around them. I think about this story a lot when I look at our lives now. We live in a sea of modern sirens, notifications, autoplay, endless scroll, recommended videos, holiday sales that follow us from site to site, FOMO, fear of missing out. The economy we live in runs on keeping our attention just a little bit captured, just a little bit longer. Here at the Ethical Society, we're a community for people who want to live lives of meaning and worth without dogma. We care about ethics, dignity, and autonomy because we care about relationships and how we treat each other and ourselves. I don't want you to feel guilty as we explore this topic. That's not the point. We are human, and these modern day sirens are very good at their jobs. But I'm asking you to think about your attention as a sacred resource, because what we look at shapes us, and what we tend together, we can shape. And because we're heading into the holidays, I want to ask, what would it look like to move through this season with just a little bit more kindness toward our distracted minds, a bit more deliberateness about where we place our precious attention? There's a writer named James William. He once worked at Google. His job was to help make ads more effective, more clickable, and more persuasive, more attention-grabbing. Over time, he started to notice something unsettling in his own life. He looked around at his gadgets and noticed he was surrounded by more technology than at any other point in human history. And it was somehow harder to do what he actually wanted to do with his life. He realized there was a basic conflict at the heart of the digital world. Most of us wake up in the morning with goals like being more present with our loved ones, showing up for our friends, creating something or learning something new, or resting, or even being less frantic and more grounded. Our technologies, on the other hand, they wake up with very different goals, like increasing the time we spend on a website, getting more clicks, triggering more scrolls and taps, and serving more ads. Williams calls this a deep fundamental gap between the goals we have and the goals our technologies have for us. He says something blunt. The attention economy, by and large, is not on our side. Its goals are not our goals. That's uncomfortable because many of us treat our phones like second brains or moral GPS devices for our lives. Are you bored? Check your phone. Feeling uncomfortable? Check your phone. Feeling lonely? Go ahead, check your phone. Standing in line for a peppermint mocha? Definitely check your phone. But if the real purpose of many of these systems is not to help us live the lives we intend, but to keep us engaged as long as possible, then this is not just about distraction. It becomes an ethical question. Whose agenda is my attention serving? Whose values do I end up living? Long before TikTok and push notifications, the economist Herbert Simon said, "A wealth of information creates a poverty of attention and a need to allocate that attention effectively, efficiently among the overabundance of information sources that might consume it." In other words, when information becomes abundant, attention becomes the scarce resource. We used to worry about not having enough information. Now we're drowning in it. News alerts, sales, emails, holiday deals, messages, notifications, videos, recommendations, infinite scroll. We're not starved for information. We're starved for attention from each other because so much of it is being given away to our screens. This is where ethical humanism can serve as an important reminder. Humanism is deeply concerned with dignity. People are not things. Autonomy. We could reflect and choose how to live. Responsibility. Our choices matter for ourselves and for others. If attention is now this scarce resource, then what we attend to, what we look at, listen to, linger on, could be one of the main ways we live out those values. Before we go any further, I want to try something together. And let me say up front, this is not about shame or being perfect. We're a dogma-free community. We don't do thou shalt never look at your phone rules. That's not what this is about. This is about honest noticing. So if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes for a moment. First, think of one real goal you have for your life right now. Not a task on a to-do list, a real goal from the heart. Maybe you want to be more patient with your kids. You want to be a better listener for your partner. You want to help bring more justice to your community. You want to rest and heal from this very challenging year. Those are the kind of goals I'm talking about. So think of that goal and hold it quietly in your mind. Now, still holding that goal, gently ask yourself, in the past week, how often has your attention been pulled away from this? Not by emergencies, but by notifications, short videos, and scrolling. You don't have to fix everything right now. You don't have to grade yourself. I just want you to notice. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. What we just did in micro form is what James Williams is asking us to do as a culture, to notice the gap between the lives we mean to live and the patterns of attention we're actually living. That kind of honest, shame-free noticing is where real change can begin. Williams also points out something else. Over the past few decades, scientists have built an enormous catalog of our cognitive biases and our vulnerabilities, our impulses, our shortcuts, the ways our brains love immediate rewards. At the same time, the internet has become a system of measurement and experimentation. Every click, every pause, every swipe, every like is tracked and tested. Put those two threads together and you get what Williams calls industrial scale persuasion. Every time you open a social feed or a streaming platform, you're stepping into a live laboratory designed to keep you there. Infinite scroll, autoplay. You might also like streaks, badges, like counts. Some very smart people have spent their entire careers figuring out how to keep us staring at our rectangular screens. And honestly, they're very good at it. If you've ever opened your phone just to check the time, and then 10 minutes later, you're reading an argument between strangers about something you don't actually care about, you have met industrial scale persuasion. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's the business model. But for humanists, it raised some serious concerns. If dignity means we're not just raw material to be exploited, and autonomy means we're not just bundles of impulses to be steered, what happens when our attention is constantly shaped by systems that treat us exactly that way? It becomes harder to do the slow, vulnerable work that ethics require, like listening, reflecting, witnessing struggles, changing our minds, and building real relationships. The attention economy doesn't just clutter our day, it reshapes our capacity for care. I want to offer an ethical framework for thinking about attention, something simple that you can carry with you. Let's put attention into 3 different buckets. First, we have captured attention. When our devices and platforms drag our minds somewhere we never really chose. That's the, I came here to check the weather and now I'm doom scrolling kind of feeling. That's Odysseus hearing the sirens with no wax in the crew's ears. Next, we have scattered attention. When our bodies are here, but our minds are buzzing in 10 open tabs. We're half in the room, half in 3 text threads, half in tomorrow's to-do list. Yes, that's 3 halves. That's what it feels like. And then we have intentional attention. When we offer our presence on purpose as an act of care, we might not use the word sacred a lot here, but that's what it is, setting our attention apart for what we love and value. The attention economy makes a lot of money off captured and scattered attention. Ethical humanism gently invites us toward intentional attention. A simple question you can ask yourself during the day is, which bucket am I in right now? And if the answer is captured or scattered, the point isn't to feel bad, it's just to get curious about what might help you shift to more intentional attention. Not by sheer willpower, but by building small, Odysseus-inspired protections into our lives. Odysseus didn't defeat the sirens by being stronger than their song. He admitted he was vulnerable, and then he tied himself to the mast. Our masts might be turning off non-essential notifications or keeping our phones out of our bedrooms, or agreeing as a family that dinners are phone-free. We can even download apps to limit the time spent on social media. Now I want to bring another voice into the room, a philosopher named Simone Weil. Weil was born in France in 1909 into a comfortable, intellectual Jewish family. She was brilliant. She taught philosophy, she read everything she could get her hands on. She could have stayed in rarefied air. She saw and wanted to lessen the suffering of ordinary people instead. In the 1930s, she did something very unusual for a young intellectual. She left the classroom and went to work in factories, on assembly lines, in harsh conditions, until her health gave out. She wanted to understand in her own body what it meant to be tired, replaceable, and unseen. Out of these experiences, she wrote about a particular kind of suffering she called affliction. Not just pain, but a grinding, humiliating kind of suffering that makes a person feel invisible, reduced to a thing, a means to an end. For Vey, the opposite of this indivisibility was attention. She famously wrote, "Attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity." She did not mean pay attention in the scolding, sit up straight sense, right? For Vey, true attention is a quiet, receptive presence, a willingness to see another person or a situation as it truly is, a kind of loving, disciplined openness with no instant agenda to fix, explain, or turn away. To really attend to someone, especially someone who is suffering, is to let their full humanity come back into focus. It is to say with your gaze, "You exist, and I will not look away." They went so far as to write, "Absolutely unmixed attention is a prayer." Now, I know we don't all share her theology, but what we might translate that as might be absolutely unmixed attention is reverence, or absolutely unmixed attention is the ultimate care. To give another person your whole, undivided presence, even for a few minutes, is to affirm their meaning and worth. And that, right there, is one of the core missions of ethical humanism. They believed much of the harm in the world comes from our refusal to look, to see, our refusal to face injustice, our refusal to see another's pain, our refusal to acknowledge our own complicity. We rush past, we tune out, we distract ourselves, sometimes with very small, very shiny things. For Vey, attention is a form of courage. To attend is to stay with the truth, even when it hurts or asks something difficult of us. In that sense, attention is not just about focus. It's about justice. Who gets seen, who doesn't, and whose suffering counts and whose suffering is scrolled right past. The philosopher and novelist Iris Murdoch said something similar, that becoming a better person is mostly about a just and loving attention to reality. Ethics is about how we look at each other and the world. So when we live into systems built to capture and monetize our distraction, they're not just stealing our time. They're scraping away at our capacity for generosity, justice, and for love, if we're not thoughtful about it. James Williams suggests we may need to talk about freedom of attention, alongside freedom of speech and freedom of assembly. Because if we lose the ability to direct our minds, if our days are shaped mainly by whatever the next algorithm or alert serves up, then all the other freedoms we cherish rest on very shaky ground. I think we're seeing that right now. The freedom of thought depends on being able to stay with something long enough to actually think about it. The freedom of conscience depends on being able to face uncomfortable truths, not just those that come with dopamine hits. And freedom in our relationships depends on being able to show up fully with another human being. So when we resist distraction, we're not just fighting for better focus. We're fighting for our freedom to be the kind of people we want to be. Individually, yes, but also as a community. I want to invite one more brief reflection. If you like, you can close your eyes again. This time, I want you to think of one person in your life who might need more real attention from you right now. It could be someone who's had a hard year, someone you mostly interact with by text, someone in your home you've been around, but not really with, someone whose politics or personality make you want to check out instead of lean in. See their face in your mind. Now imagine giving them 10 minutes this season of what Simone Weil would call unmixed attention. No phone in your hand, no television on in the background, no multitasking, no rehearsing your next point while they talk, just 10 minutes of being present, centering the other person, and listening to understand. How might that feel for them? And how might that feel for you? You don't have to make any promises right now, but please quietly consider, are you willing to offer that? When you're ready, you can open your eyes if you closed them. Those 10 minutes could give you that small, ordinary, undramatic act, it could be the living heart of everything we've been talking about. This ethics in an age of distraction is attention for each other. And as a community here at the Ethical Society, I invite us to explore how we can use our shared attention to lift up those who are unseen and to work for justice. Because the point of reclaiming our attention is so we can turn it outward to those who are hurting, to the work that needs doing, to the world that we're trying to shape. So now we know when information explodes, attention becomes scarce. And when we understand, and we also understand that the attention economy is not on our side because our goals and our devices' goals are out of alignment. The holidays intensify all of this. The lights get brighter, the sales get louder, the pressure to perform our joys online multiplies. And yet, we can see attention as the rarest and purest form of generosity. We still have between us the power to choose what we tend. We can notice, choose, and offer. We can notice where our attention is. We can choose what aligns with our values, and we can offer our attention as a gift. Our attention is how we love. It's how we honor each other's dignity. It's how we decide together what kind of world we want to build. So as we navigate this holiday season with its lights and lists, its gatherings, and its grief, may you give and receive the rare gift of undivided attention. May you find the courage to look at what is real and the gentleness to approach others with love. And may we together learn to treat our attention not as something to be harvested, but as something to be offered. In a world full of distractions dressed up as urgency, may we look toward one another, because what we look at shapes us, and what we tend, we can shape together. Thank you.
Thank you, Louise. It is certainly a relevant message for us today. I think being here together shows, and giving Louise our attention for this time, our platform, really is a demonstration. It's a value that we hold here. Those are some good thoughts that we can keep for the week ahead. We're off to a good start. All of our work, from community events like this to Sunday programs, youth education, and service projects, is made possible through the generosity of our members and friends. At this time, our ushers will begin passing the collection baskets. Many of our members give online or through an annual pledge. For those who'd like to give today, the baskets and the QR code on the screen are simple ways to join in. Every contribution helps bring our mission to life. If you'd like to stay connected to the Ethical Society, subscribe to our weekly newsletter for updates or check out our involvement checklist for ways to connect with social and service opportunities that feel meaningful to you. Now I have a few announcements for today. The Stewardship Committee reminds you that we are looking for donors to make a commitment to the matching fund for the 2026 pledge campaign. All pledge increases will be matched, and the money from the matching fund will go towards the compensation of a new leader. If you are interested in being a matching fund donor, send email to the Stewardship Committee at the email address shown on the slide, or click on the QR code to make a commitment. For those who have already contributed to the matching fund, the Stewardship Committee extends our deepest appreciation. Mark your calendars for our annual winter celebration on Sunday, December 14th. The evening begins with a community meal at 5:30 p.m. At 6:30, we will gather here in the auditorium for a secular, solstice-inspired lessons and carols program featuring music, readings, and candlelight. Any kiddos desiring a more youth-centric space can check out our glow party downstairs at the same time. From 7:30 to 8:30, enjoy caroling and festive fun downstairs. Good Cheer is one of our most joyful intergenerational events. We hope you'll join us on December 14th. Sing with the Ethical Voices and members of Continuum Vocal Ensemble at Good Cheer if you like. Rehearsals will be on the evening of Thursday, December 11th at 6:30, and in the afternoon on Saturday, December 13th at 1. All voices are welcome. If you have been in the Ethical Voices before, you should have received an email, and bring a friend. Help us make this year's Good Cheer a truly special event. Contact our music director, Michael Engelhardt, via email at music@ethicalstl.org. I'd like to welcome Patrick back up to the stage for our final musical selection. Sort of sprung that on you, sorry.
What was that?
I sort of sprung that on you, didn't give you a heads up.
No, I'm good, thanks. The final piece I'll be playing was written by William Foden, who was born, raised, and died here in St. Louis. During that time, he was recognized as America's first guitar hero. He was identified as the wizard for his performing, but he was also highly regarded as a composer. And this piece, I'll be performing it on an authentic 19th century guitar that was built here in America sometime around 1880. So it's kind of the same instrument that William Foden would have been writing this piece for.
Thank you, Patrick. That was a beautiful closing for us today. I love the variety you bring here, and I just hope you keep coming back again and again. Thank you to Louise Jett also for sharing her insight and guidance this morning. To our Seek students for opening our time together, and to each of you for being a part of this community today. Louise reminded us that where we place our attention shapes who we become, and that in an age full of noise and distraction, choosing to focus with care is an ethical act. When we direct our attention toward connection, compassion, and purpose, we help create a world where presence, dignity, and relationship are possible. That message speaks deeply to our ethical humanist belief that positive change doesn't happen by accident. It comes from people choosing again and again to show up with intention, to notice one another, to tend to what matters, and to practice our values in daily life. After platform, we hope you'll join us downstairs for coffee and community. You'll find conversation cards to spark reflection, a continuing the conversation table to carry the discussion forward, and our library table with resources on humanism and more. As you go into the week ahead, remember that your attention is a powerful resource. Where you place it can nurture care, deepen relationships, and help build a more thoughtful, compassionate world. Thank you.